messed up. Really like that.
Well, I think I usually go by the letter I get from up here.
And I
So
think mine said the same.
Yeah,
They did,
I'll
so.
say, hey, actually, or like, or so I'll just have her read. It doesn't,
Cool.
but
I didn't even think about it until I was
I
reading.
know, how does Brian have it? Oh,
I think it's across all of the,
we'll get it.
but like I said, I didn't know.
Well, no, you know, in Amy, it had her name.
Pledge allegiance. Okay. well, Very small crowd. Hi. First item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from the October 12th, 2020 meeting. Are there any additions or corrections? A motion to approve?
A motion to approve the minutes?
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. They are approved. Okay, Brian.
All right, thank you. Everybody hear me okay? That's online?
Yes.
Great, thank you. All right, so the first item on the agenda is just a review, informational item for the board really about our natural gas aggregation program. And this is for customers that are a Columbia Gas customer, natural gas customer. And the city many years ago created an aggregation program where we would secure a fixed price or whether it's 6 months, a year, or longer, a contract price with a supplier. And then anybody that was a Columbia Gas customer and did not have a previously selected contract with another supplier, they would be automatically enrolled into this aggregation program. It's an opt-out aggregation program. So what that means is that, as I mentioned, if you don't already have a current gas supplier, you are automatically enrolled and you have to voluntarily opt out of the program to go to another supplier. Typically, there's no penalty to opt out. If you do get enrolled and you don't want to be in it, customers can choose to move out of the program to a different supplier if they wish. But that's how the program has worked for many years. It's been fairly successful, I think. For the most part, we've had very few complaints about the pricing that we've been able to secure. And these prices are all predominantly based on the current market conditions of the gas market when we do lock in this price. In the past, AMP has been the one who helped us to secure these prices. About 2 years ago, they started working with Palmer Energy, which they do a lot of work in the energy sector for electric and natural gas purchases. And last time we did this with Palmer, we did secure a 2-year contract price of 38.55 cents or 0.3855 per CCF. And that price goes through March 31st of 2021. We normally secure the pricing for the next phase several months in advance of when the current term ends. And so looking at the pricing and the fact that we've got winter season coming up, and typically with the wintertime, there's additional natural gas demand. And a lot of times you'll see prices will maybe go up in the wintertime. So we talked with AMP and Palmer Energy about the current pricing and securing another time frame here. And it was decided that based off of their recommendations and the way the gas market looked, it would be better to do that prior to getting into the winter heating season. And so we did lock in another price from April of 21 until March, through March of 23. That's a 3-year window at 0.405 per CCF. A slight increase, but not substantial. And again, if I give you some history on where the pricing has been in the past, this table was much larger the last time I shared it with the board, but I cut off the last years, before 2015. I would say that this price, even at 0.405, is probably one of the lowest that the program has seen in its since I've been tracking it, at least. So I think overall it's a pretty good price. It's a fixed price, so the customers have some guarantee of what that price is going to be for the gas consumption part of their bill. There's still the Columbia Gas charges for maintenance of the pipes and infrastructure they have to maintain. So that may be adjusted from time to time, but the gas consumption part of it that they're actually using to heat their homes or heat their water, that will be at the fixed price of the 0.405. Any questions about that from anybody? Okay, again, no action from the board required. Just I try to update you whenever these prices are locked in and give you some feedback on how that's going. The next item is to discuss or approve the 2021 utilities budget. We did talk with the board and with City Council back on November the 9th and presented the budget. As we typically do in November, the first meeting is to present the budget, and the second meeting is to ask the board to approve of the next year's budget. We have since learned that the EDA grant, the federal grant that we had put into the budget, we did not receive that award. We had hoped to get about an 80% funding level for that project, but the demand for the grant dollars was so high that we didn't score well enough to proceed to the funding status. So I did leave it in the budget as it was presented last time. I think for the city side, Lori is intending not to include that in their budget, but I think that's okay too, because if we do go back for 50% funding, which we can do through regular EDA funding, it's already in our budget. If the city side needs to add money to that, then they can do a supplemental appropriation. If we don't use the money, we won't see the revenue from the grant dollars, but we also won't see the expense side of the equation. So I'm not proposing to change anything with the budget that was presented. And as the year goes on, if we need to make changes or adjustments to the budget, obviously we'll come back to the board and ask you for approval, or to move money or to add money if necessary. So overall, again, the budget request that we're asking to approve today is exactly what you saw at the previous meeting on November the 9th. Unless you have questions on that, that's all I have for this one.
Questions?
Mm-mm.
It's currently partly.
Oops.
Partly cloudy.
Partly cloudy.
Do I have a motion?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I move that we approve Resolution 11-2020-01, approval of the 2021 utilities budget.
Do I have a second?
I second that motion.
Properly moved and second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed,
Aye.
same sign. Okay, budget's approved.
Okay, thank you. Okay, the next item is a discussion and request for the city administration building. And I didn't put it into the write-up, but I should have noted that the board approved resolution 04-2019-03 back on April 22nd of 2019. And that was to do the RFQs for the feasibility study, which got us to hiring Pogomar Design Group and the collaborative to do the feasibility study. So just some history for you that I didn't put in the write-up, but I should have included this, so apologize for that. But as the write-up mentions here, the consultants did present the findings of the feasibility study on October the 6th to both the board and the city council. The consultants' final evaluation basically was that they recommended that the senior center, for the most part, be demolished while maintaining and keeping the front facade that is on to North Main Street, and as well as the house that's at 316 North Church Street, which is just over the way here. That would also be demolished, as well as this building, and this would become parking or access for vehicular traffic. They did give us an estimated total project cost of $11 million for design, demolition, and construction. As we typically do, we split these projects are split 50-50 with utility funds or city funds. And then utilities, we typically split our funds 60% to electric, 20% to water, and 20% to sewer. And so that represents the breakdown that I included in the write-up here. That's how we get to $3.3 million for the Electric Capital Reserve Fund, and $2.2 million for the water and sewer. The electric dollars we had proposed in the budget that you just approved to use cash reserves and not do any borrowing for the electric portion of this. The water and sewer portion, we would look to do a bond, which I believe the city is also looking to do a bond for their portion. And that $2.2 million will be paid back as debt service out of the Water and Sewer Capital Improvement Fund. That's the income tax-based fund, again, we talked about during the budget meeting. So that accounts for utilities 50% of the project cost. We would like to contract directly with Pogomar Design Group and the collaborative. Back when we did the request for qualifications, we did advertise for qualifications, and we received 6 consultants that submitted. They were scored and evaluated. We picked the top 3, and we interviewed them. They came to this room, and we pre-COVID, and we talked with them about their understanding of the project and what their proposal entailed. Out of those interviews, according to the staff's recommendation that was part of that process, we clearly all agreed that Pogomar and the collaborative was the most qualified for that. And so we entered in the contract with them back at that time. They did perform the study. So our recommendation to go to Pogomar is that we don't see that anybody that, if we go through that process again to go through qualifications and advertise for that process, that any other consulting firm that submitted before, or if someone comes out from somewhere else and wants to apply for that, that they're going to have any better qualifications than what we've found with Pogomar and the collaborative that just did this recent study. That we found that Pogomar and collaborative's work was quite exceptional. They answered all of our questions. They were very responsive. Whenever we wanted things to be changed or look at differently, they were very adapt to that and agreeable to that. So we don't believe the outcome would be any different if we went through a process to go through and advertise for qualifications again. Obviously, Pogomar and the collaborative are going to submit again for that process, and we think they're going to be the likely consultant team that would be selected for this again. We did discuss with the city attorney if there was any issues with going directly to Pogomar and the collaborative to contract with them directly. He said no, it's perfectly legal. That's not a problem to do that. And just Andy and Trevor, I'm not sure if you're familiar with the qualifications-based criteria, but whenever, as a governmental agency, whenever we hire a professional services, the state law says we have to do it based off of qualifications, not based off of a bid price. And so it's a little bit different when we're hiring professional services or engineering services than it is to hire a contractor or hiring or trying to purchase materials. We're not allowed to ask them for their price up front, and that cannot be part of our qualifications or criteria that we use to score or evaluate a consultant. So it's different when we're doing construction work. That is based off of lowest and best bid. But with qualifications, we have to pick the most qualified firm, and then we can start to negotiate a contract price for those services. Brett, I assume you're familiar with that from the university's perspective.
Yes, we do it.
Go ahead, sir.
We do it the same way. Yep.
Okay. If you have questions on that, I can go to that more detail, or if there's anything you want to discuss further. So there's 2 resolutions for you to consider. One is, again, to contract with Pogomar Design Group for the engineering and the design services, and through construction administration as well. According to their estimate that they provided before, that would be around $1 million, and that's included in the $11 million total project cost. The second resolution is to advertise for bids for the construction of the project. And the reason for asking for this now is that we do anticipate on selling a bond in early 2021. And it would be helpful if we had, board and council's approval that the project is going to go forward before we go take on a lot of debt for the project. So that was part of the reason for asking for that now. Also, if we do go forward with the engineering design, this is a very large dollar amount for engineering services. It's not anticipated that we would do design work and then not follow through with construction thereafter. Those are the two resolutions that I prepared. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer those.
Questions?
Ryan, I believe I read that the library wanted to do a joint effort with the city for a bigger library, I guess. That has nothing to do with what you're planning here, correct?
It has not been included in the cost estimate that we're given by the consultant. I've not been part of those discussions as yet. I don't know if Lori or the mayor has. Okay.
Brett, the answer to your question is Lori and I did meet with representatives of the library. During the course of that meeting, they were aware of our intent to build and the general footprint of what that project would look like. What they wanted to do was to bring us kind of into their conversations that they were having internally, considering several options that they are considering for the expansion of the library. And what we agreed at that meeting was that as we continued to develop the design of our building, that we would continue to communicate openly with them. They would do the same. There's a recognition that we have mutual interests there. So in terms of what that could look like, eventually, we don't really have any specifics to that other than there is an agreement that we will continue to communicate with each other and make sure that we're doing all that we can do to allow each of us to meet our needs that will best serve the community.
Great, thank you.
Any other questions on the board?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I make a motion to approve Resolution 11/20/2002, authorizing the Utilities Director to enter into a contract for professional design and construction administrative services for the City Administration Building.
Second.
Properly moved and seconded. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Approved.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
move to approve Resolution 11/202003, authorizing the Utilities Director to advertise for bids and enter into contracts for construction of the City Administration Building.
Second.
Properly moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Thank you. The last item on our agenda is a request to transfer ownership of the solar generating facility, the solar panels that are on the BGSU Ice Arena roof. And I did give you some history on how this project got started and what its background was. So in 2004 was the initial installation and agreement with the university and the city to install the solar panels. The city did pay for the project. The university charged no lease fee to use the roof, and the university paid the city for the energy output from the solar panels to try to help recover some of the costs for the project. The city's funding came from what was known as the Green Energy Rider at that time, and that today you could equate that to the EcoSmart Choice program that we have today. It has changed or altered a little bit over those years, but for the most part, they did the same thing. And so the city had collected that money with the intention of doing projects like this. The university, I think, secured a grant from the Ohio Department of Development to help lower the project costs. The initial installation was 31 kilowatts. And in 2006, there was an additional 10 kilowatts added to make it 41 kilowatts. As the project has aged, it has seen increasing maintenance issues that have come up, and more panels and more of the equipment is becoming less operational. So it is reducing the output from the facility. The university is currently on doing a project to do electrical work inside of the building, and they did secure a proposal or a quote from their contractor to revitalize the system and get it back into full operation. The price for that was $32,800. As the owner of the solar facility, we ultimately are responsible for maintenance of that installation. I did tell the university to proceed with the work and pay for it. And if the board didn't approve of this resolution, then we would reimburse them for the costs. But essentially, the university would like to make the changes, use their student green fund, which is a voluntary fund that the students pay into to do projects like this. But the university wants to be the owner of it, and I would agree with them. If they put the money into it to repair it, then they should be the ones that would own it and get the benefit for that. Historically, we've been receiving around $6,000 per year in revenue from the energy output. Again, that's through a sale to the university. That does degrade over time because the solar panels themselves do degrade over time and they have less output. So if we paid for the $32,000, it would take us, 5.5 years roughly to get that money back. So we did look at our options, and if we paid for it and kept the ownership of it, talk with city staff about what the options were, and we recommend to partner with the university and transfer the ownership to them. It's on their building. They're the ones that are taking the initiative to go through and make the repairs and keep it functional. They have the funding through the Student Green Fund to make this happen. And if we did it, we'd have to take money out of our other lines because we don't have the green energy rider anymore. And the money we do collect from the EcoSmart Choice program is used only to buy RECs for the people that people want to purchase as a voluntary measure as well. We don't have an additional charge added onto that. So that would come out of utility funds or electric funds to pay for the repairs. I did include some correspondence between the city and the university that says, they said they're interested in doing this work and getting it back online. I responded back to them and said, yes, we agree with your direction. And as long as the board approves and city council approves, then we would transfer ownership to them for $1. And they could use their green funds then to pay for the repairs and move forward. I also included the original agreement back to 2004. Again, just for some historical context for you to see how this all kind of came about. There was we did prepare a draft addendum to transfer ownership. So that's in your board packet as well. It's pretty basic, just a one-page agreement that says we're going to sell it to the university for $1. They're going to continue to maintain it and own it from this point forward. We will stop charging them for the energy output because they're going to be the owner of the facility, and that all future repair costs are going to be borne by the university. So I think overall, this still meets the intent of the original project, which was to keep a solar installation on the university's roof in operation. So that's a good thing. And it gets it into the building owner's hands, which I think in my mind is also a good thing. So we recommend approving the resolution, but if you have questions, I'd be happy to answer those.
I have one question, Brian, and this is more just clarification, but if we sell that to them, would then they be, I guess that rider that we had just recently approved for the, for private citizens and whatnot for their own use, if they, they maintain it, they upgrade it over time, would the university still be subject to that same thing or have to sign or agree to that same policy?
Yes, that's correct. And the draft agreement, item
5.
number 5 at the bottom states exactly what you just said, that they would follow our interconnection standards for that policy.
Perfect. Thank you for clarifying that.
Sure.
Other questions? Motion?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
move to approve resolution 11202004, approval of addendum to memorandum of understanding and cooperative power supply agreement.
Seconded.
Properly moved and seconded. Any other discussion?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Approved.
Okay, thank you. That's all I have on the agenda for tonight, unless you have questions for me.
Questions?
Thank you.
Thanks,
you.
Brian.
Other reports, official reports? Mayor?
Just very briefly, I wanted to extend my appreciation to the board for your support of the resolutions related to the construction of the new city administration building. I think that during the joint meeting between BPU and council that included the presentation from our consultants, we identified clearly the need for the building. We talked extensively about the favorable financial markets that would make this a project that we would consider at this time. So we appreciate your support. We're continuing with the trajectory of the project. We will very soon be presenting City Council legislation very similar to what you considered today. So we will certainly keep you in the loop as the project continues through the design phase and moving towards construction. So again, I just wanted to thank you for your support of this project. We think it's very exciting for the community and for the city. We're excited to move forward, but thank you.
Absolutely.
You.
Thank you.
Board member reports? New business, unfinished business. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
With those folks
Have
there.
a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. We are adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Yep, thank you.